Today, my dear viewers, we are talking about a subject near and dear to my heart. That is right, coaching or running technique without a coach or camera at your side. Of course, it's great to get a gait analysis or to have a coach watch you run on the track, but we don't always have that luxury, so we need to figure out how do we internalize some of those things and make ourselves better runners. That's exactly what today's video is all about. Stick around, you might learn something. Hey, thanks to Aftershokz headphones for sponsoring today's video. Stay tuned for a little later on just to hear a little bit more about why we like these headphones so much and how they could be a great addition to you and your running. Now, let's get into your running technique without a coach watching you or having some sort of mirror or camera giving you some sort of assistance, which in reality is most of our running, 90% of the time. Even if I'm the most elite runner, I'm not getting scrutinized every single step. And it's in those minutes and hours when people aren't watching us that in effect are the most valuable. So these ideas are simple, powerful, because you can do them all the time and you don't need all these extra tools. Although if you can jump in there and do some of those things, I highly recommend doing it. Now, we're gonna get started here just to get into our running with a full body scan. So this is the first one thing that we wanna do to improve our running technique without a coach or camera is to do a full body scan. I'm gonna do this standing, but I can also do this every 5 to 10 minutes into my run, I can check. Now, if you've watched any of our videos before, you notice that we like to start with our running technique from a top-down situation. So we like to talk about the head, the shoulders, the arms before we finally get to your feet. And the first thing I'm gonna talk about, guys, is your head position. Now, most living day-to-day throws our head position in a place that is not ideal for where we are running. Ideally, our head should be nice and neutral. Chin is and ears are stacked over shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles. But what happens is because we're always craning towards a screen, we're scrolling those Strava segments, we're seeing where we stand, this chin starts to jut forward, and then all of a sudden this becomes my new normal. The problem with this is that for every couple degrees my head goes forward, it starts to throw everything else off. So we're gonna get ourselves back to neutral. By taking our middle finger and our thumb, we're gonna put it on our collarbone. We're gonna take our index finger straight up, and I'm gonna poke through the beard to find my chin, and this is gonna be a nice, relaxed, neutral head. You'll be surprised how many of you guys go here, or the chin tucks up, or does some weird other thing while we run. We want nice and neutral and relaxed. And you're just gonna do here, just gonna start with 5 of these, where you're gonna just jut your chin out. Hey, this is where I might be when I'm reading emails. Oh yeah, I gotta bring my chin back. And I just want you to notice the difference from positions that's not as good to something that's a little bit better. Next thing, we're gonna move on to our shoulders. Believe it or not, we carry a lot of stress around these days, and a lot of the stress goes into our shoulders and our traps, our big trapezius muscles tend to elevate. And what happens is when I get in this elevated position, my shoulder swing starts to go away. It doesn't become as relaxed, and this has an effect further down the chain. So what we're gonna do is just shrug our shoulders up, see where this tense position is, and just try to shake, roll these shoulders back down. And again, I'm just gonna do this 5 to 10 times, bring them up, relax them, and just notice, hey, where are those shoulders? Can I loosen them up? The next thing we're gonna hit, guys, is our hips. Our hips are such a critical position, not only for our pelvis, can we get our pelvis in a neutral position, but can we lead with our hips in our run for that, sense of leaning as we go forward. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have just a little abdominal on, and we're gonna squeeze our butt a little bit. And when I squeeze my butt a little bit, this locks my pelvis in a nice neutral position, and it starts to shift these hips forward, and I can just rock back and forth 5 to 10 times. Again, just drawing a little bit of awareness here, seeing where I'm at. My chin's neutral, my shoulders are relaxed, and now I've added this hip position. Finally, the last thing we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna do a little hopping in place where I am in an aligned position, but I'm relaxed and springy. My heels are just kissing the ground, just like this. Notice I'm not here, right? Nice and relaxed. And then I can alternate feet. And now I've gone that full body scan. So again, do this before you go out and run. Check in every 5 to 10 minutes, going from head, shoulders, hips, down to your feet. So earlier this week, I found myself running in the cold, in the dark, and in the rain, actually just right by some of these roads right here. And I was doing some tempo work. I had a 10-minute interval, an 8, a 6, a 4, and a 2, where I was trying to increase my pace. Sometimes I like to not listen to anything, but in that particular situation, I found that a little extra music and or podcast was helpful for motivation, so to speak. So I ran with my Aftershokz headphones. I think these are the Trex Airs. And I love them because I don't have to worry about, rain mucking these things up. If I do want to take them off, I could just throw them around my neck. But when I'm in my workout, these things just hook around the ear, and I've got this, best of both worlds scenario where I can listen to whatever I want to listen to, but I can also be tuned into my workout and hear what my body's doing. And I don't know about you, but when I start running and I start pushing the pace, I can get a little ragged sometimes. My breathing becomes a little bit more vocal and a little bit off. And I can start to hear my feet hit the ground a little bit harder as that fatigue sets in. So those audible cues are really helpful for me to stay focused on my own run technique while I'm pushing myself, while I'm out getting through and enjoying this run. And I have to say the Aftershokz really help make that happen. Now let's get back to that running technique. So the next thing we need to focus on is our breath, and specifically we're gonna listen to it and draw a little bit of awareness to it. Am I someone who tends to breathe loud and raspy when I start to push myself? Do I have a certain rhythm when I do it? Am I someone who develops side cramps a lot? Can people hear me from far away? Am I like that all the time? Or am I relaxed and buttery smooth all the way through? We just want a little baseline of where we're at. And now what we're gonna work on is improving it, because it's not just the easy runs that I care about, but it's when I'm really pushing myself that I want those good breathing mechanics to be there. And I need to practice those before I absolutely need them. So we're gonna practice by getting into our belly breathing a little bit more. Now you can belly breathe in and out through your mouth, no problem. But what I found is a helpful tool for runners is to breathe through their nose a little bit, because when they breathe through their nose, their mouth is closed, it's a smaller airway, and it actually forces that diaphragm to engage a little bit more and pull deeper into that belly, which is a good thing. So we're gonna breathe in through our nose for 3 to 5 steps, and we're gonna breathe out through our mouth 3 to 5 steps. That's like level 1. Kind of breathe in through my nose, breathe out through my mouth. Now level 2, once I get good at that, is to now breathe in and out through my nose exclusively. This is gonna just make this challenge a little bit more of, hey, a challenge. In through my nose, out through my nose. So I like to start breathing in for 3 to 5 steps and out for 3 to 5 steps. Really, it's just a good place to start. There's no hard and fast rule here. You can certainly play with it as you go. But the most important thing is that you're starting to make the connection with your breathing and your movement. Can I start to connect those two things together? And again, the perfect place to practice these things is going to be on your long runs and on some of your easy runs. Can I get really good and aware with my breathing in those two situations, especially the end of that long run? Because that's gonna translate nicely to the times when I'm running when I really care about it. Okay, so now we're going to listen to our feet, and there's a few things we're going to pay attention to. Now note, I don't know if there's any acceptable decibel level that our feet should sound when they hit the ground every single time. But I do know that as we fatigue, that number tends to go up. We tend to get a little bit louder with our feet. And again, when we hear that audible cue, there's something happening with our mechanics, which is what we want to pay attention to. So ideally, we want to get a good baseline of where we're at, and we want to pay attention to when things start to change as we fatigue. So there's a few things that are helpful to think about. When we're running, there's a moment where we're pushing off the ground, but we're also pulling this leg up around through. It's almost like riding a bike. There's gonna be a pushing phase and a pulling phase. As we get tired, this pulling tends to go away and the push tends to happen a little bit harder. So as I get tired, all of a sudden, I tend to stomp the ground a little bit more. And if that's the case, can I start to think about getting my hips forward and pulling those heels up around with a little bit more activated hamstring? That can really help a lot. Another thing we want to pay attention to is slapping. If I notice that my foot hits and slaps kind of hard, a lot of times what happens is as I come through, my ankle is locked in dorsiflexion and it's not loose. So if I'm locked here, I'm gonna come down, heel's gonna hit, womp, the toe's gonna slap down every single time. So if that is you, where you tend to slap a little bit, or maybe you slap going downhill, can you figure out how to pull those legs up, relax those ankles a little bit more, and run with a little bit more relaxed ankles all the way through? The third thing I want to pay attention to is scuffing. Do my feet actually scuff before, as the foot sort of comes through? And what's happening with this one is that I've gotten tired, I've dumped my pelvis forward, and all of a sudden my foot that used to come through this way, because the pelvis got dumped, this foot doesn't carry through all the way and hits the ground while it should be going a little bit further forward. So I've got general stomping, I've got slapping where it's the dorsiflexion issue, and then I've got the scuffing where it's usually some sort of pelvic position. I'm overextended through the low back. Can I correct this? Can I shorten that stride up a little bit with higher cadence? The last thing, we're gonna try to pull this all together with one more drill that's gonna make this thing really hum. Whew. So I am out of the rain and inside to talk about our last piece today, which is going to be running with the metronome to improve our cadence. This is really one of the last important things we can do as runners to make ourselves better without our coach or camera on our side. A lot of times with cadence, we talk about running in a range of like 85 to 90 steps per minute, and 85 to 90 steps is one foot hitting the ground. Sometimes you might hear the range 170 to 180 if you wanted to count both. And running with an audible beep can really be helpful for reinforcing that movement, because if my cadence is slowing down, mechanically something is off. I've lost my posture, my shoulders are up, something's off with my breathing, all the other pieces we've talked about. So today we're gonna use a metronome, but we're gonna use a waltz pattern. Instead of just kind of stomping my foot every single time, it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm gonna try to make this work here. So now I've got my metronome set to 162, and just standing up tall, you can hear 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, ultimately, I like that pattern because I'm not just stomping on one side the whole time. I get a little bit more of an even rhythm. And if I can start to add this into my long runs and my easy runs, that is going to be the killer thing. Because in your speed runs, the cadence is already up a little bit faster. So it's the opportunity at the end of those long runs when you're starting to fatigue, and on your easy runs when you can just think about your position and your cadence and your run technique, where you can really make a lot of wins there. So start with 5 by 1 minute at that waltz style cadence, starting at maybe like 60-ish, maybe working up to 62, 63 or so, seeing how that feels. And then each subsequent week, the goal is to add a minute. So week 2, you're going for 5 by 2 minutes, week 3, 5 by 3 minutes, and try to finish off at 5 by 6 minutes. And then you can start to extend this for longer periods of time. The running doesn't have to be fast, should be slow and controlled. You're really just working on your cadence. And if you can do that in conjunction with thinking about that body scan, being tall, keeping those shoulders relaxed, breathing deep, pulling those feet up off the ground, pushing those hips forward, you are gonna be in a good position for some good running. Test number 3, making sure we look good. So into today's topic on oh my God. And you'll be able to notice that you'll be able to change that back and forth. We got a nice helicopter overhead. What's up, guys? And I'm just getting wet as this goes through, because this is fun. Today we've got a little special, blah, blah. Thanks again to Aftershokz for making this video happen. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, hit that like button, drop any comments or questions down below. We love talking about running technique. And of course, subscribe to our channel, guys. We got new videos coming out each and every single week. We want you to see them, we want you to interact with us, and we want you to become better runners. That's what this whole thing is all about. I'm going to get dry, and I'll see you guys in another video.